camera.
Sure, sure. I'm Andrew Katz, and I joined SPORTIME about 10 years ago after a long hiatus of tennis. I found myself, I had let myself get out of shape, and I hadn't played tennis in quite some time. So, I joined here, and it's been a big part of my life since then.
How long have you been playing tennis?
I played a lot when I was a kid. And so up until 14, 15 years old, and then I kind of switched to basketball full time.
Okay.
And, I played here and there, but it wasn't, until I joined SPORTIME that I started playing again regularly. And, I found myself, what a wonderful thing tennis has been for me, especially SPORTIME. It's the social aspect of it has been amazing. And it just allowed me to place an emphasis on my wellness and my health. And, when I joined 10 years ago, I was probably 40, 50 pounds heavier than I am now.
Wow.
So, it's been a huge part of my social life, and the people here are great. And, so it's been a blessing for me.
And one of the reasons why we wanted to talk to you today was you can tell more about it yourself. Something happened, and then you were a really competitive player until you had to stop for a little bit. What happened?
Yeah, so it's
if
just
you don't
about,
mind talking about
I love it. I mean, it's great. I haven't gone into depth about this in a little while, but about 3 years ago, almost to the day, I had just returned from a vacation, and around 6 o'clock on a Monday morning, I had incredible pains in my head, and I knew something was wrong. And I think because of the emphasis I placed on my health and wellness, I was very in tune. Something is off here and really wrong. And I called 911 within a couple of minutes of those first symptoms, and that saved my life. But that started a whole progression into, I had gone to Huntington Hospital. Diagnostically, they saw I had a ruptured brain aneurysm.
Wow.
And so they placed me on a helicopter and got me to the best brain surgeon that was available in Bayshore. And I had something called an AVM rupture, which is an arterial venous malformation. It's kind of like a spider web of blood vessels in the brain that you're born with.
Wow.
Most people never know that they have it. It's fine, but mine developed an aneurysm that ruptured. And so they stopped the bleeding pretty much immediately, and they placed me in a coma, so I healed from that. And they removed the AVM, which was a more elaborate surgery, and that involved a 2-month hospital stay. And so, I think that, first of all, I think how tennis played a role in that is it got me to the point where health and wellness was a huge part of is a huge part of my life. It just got me to the place where, I'm physical activity and health and wellness is just a big part of my life. And that being the way it is, I was very in tune to my body, and I knew something was, my brain surgeon had said, that I use the phrase most guys, because maybe it's most guys, but most people that have what I had, they'll take a couple aspirin and or they'll just wait a little bit. But I did none of those things, and I called immediately, and that saved my life. I mean, I still have, you can hear in my voice, I have a paralyzed vocal cord, and my right hand, there's some fine motor skills in my right hand that are slow to come back. But, he had used a number like 0.5% of the population that have what I have make the recovery I make.
Wow.
I made.
Yeah.
And, so it's, so it was 2 months in the hospital and and a year of pretty intensive physical therapy. And it took about a year, but I reached out to Michelle and I said, I want to hit a tennis ball. I want to see where I am. I want to see where I have to use the word what my baseline is.
Yeah.
You know?
Pun intended.
Pun intended. And boy, it happened right here on this court, and she was wonderful, and the staff came out and they knew what was going on, and you know, people when Sport Time came to visit me in the hospital, you know, that's part of the social aspect of this. You meet a lot of great people, and you know, it was a great moment. You know, I didn't run that much, but I was able to hit, and I was able to make contact, and a lot of tears were shed of happiness. You know, I come from a long line of happy criers anyway, so you know. But it was wonderful, and you know, coming from you know, being in a walker for a month to a year later, you know, hitting a tennis ball. Now 3 years later, I'm playing 3-4 nights a week.
Wow.
So it's a remarkable journey.
Wow.
And tennis has played a huge role in this for me.
That's incredible. I think when you tell that story to other people, what's the first reaction they get out of it when they hear what you
Well,
come
they have.
from?
It's a very interesting point.
Yeah.
First of all, when I talk about this, sometimes I feel like I'm talking about someone else. I have to
Really?
remember that it's me. That's an interesting dynamic psychologically. But you know, I think many people have. You know, they hear the word brain aneurysm, ruptured brain aneurysm, and they associate. You know, mostly people don't make it.
Yeah.
You know, and or they're physically. Their abilities are quite diminished, and so you know, I always get, really,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that kind of thing, because it is remarkable, and I have to remember, you know, how miraculous it is, you know, and it's given me a whole different perspective on life in many ways, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
I'm not grateful for how I got that, but I'm grateful for how I now use that perspective
I love
in
that.
my life.
When you use tennis and you hear like how much you play now, what do you think tennis has allowed you to, besides the social aspect, what has tennis allowed you to achieve personally? Because it seems like it's become such a big role in your life, and especially after what happened, like it's become almost like your escape and to be on court.
It's a great way of saying it. You know, I think escape is perfect. I mean, there's not many, especially in this day and age, where instant gratification and distractions are all around us. It's a unique time where I get to really be present. And those moments don't happen as often as they should, perhaps. And so I'm forced to focus and forced to be in the moment, and it's a great place to be, you know. So it's like a mini vacation, if you will, from the world around us and how complex that can be. And you know, and now I look at all these things as truly a gift, you know. And I'm very blessed that I have this outlet, and you know. So I mean, tennis for me checks an awful lot of boxes, you know. I mean,
All right, talking about Andrew Katz. Andrew has been such a part of our Sport Time family for so many years. He used to come play in the leagues, in the zones. When we found out about his accident, it was devastating. You know, he developed such a circle of friends that cared about him. We got updates every day about how he was doing. And I remember in January when he made the phone call ready to get back on the courts. I remember January 5th, I remember like it was yesterday. What's so special about Andrew, you know, he came down and he wanted to work back to where he was, and just his resiliency and his drive to get back where he was amazing to watch. Andrew Katz, he holds such a place in my heart, and it's such a blessing for him to be a part of our lives and a part of the Sport Time family's lives.
You know, I mean, there's the physical aspect of it, you know, and that's an obvious one, and the social aspect of it. I mean, it's what I love about sport time, and in particular, tennis with sport time in particular. They'll, I get people calling me if I don't show up to a zone, or if I don't show up, more than a couple weeks go by and I'm not around, people reach out. Everything okay?
Yeah.
I mean, that's wonderful. But tennis for me, brings the mental acuity that you need, the muscle memory if you play often enough, trying to break bad habits. There's always, I love anything where I can have a measuring stick about me getting better and me progressing.
Yeah.
Is a wonderful thing because, and especially I'm highly aware of that in the last 3 years because it took a long time for me to get back to where I was before in my medical situation. And so I love being able to measure that I'm getting better at something. And tennis is great for that, because there's clear metrics on that.
Yeah.
And some days are better than others, and that's okay. And it's and I'm measuring against myself. I'm competitive with myself. Some people are very competitive in nature, and that's fine. And I find myself more competitive with myself than with any game or opponent.
Yeah.
But so tennis has been a wonderful part of my life, and I'm so happy that 10 years ago, I said, why don't I start playing tennis again, just to get healthier?
Yeah.
And that has blossomed into a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I'm a tennis nut. And one of the wonderful things is when I go on vacations now, I'll bring a racket and sneakers, and and you meet new people, and it's just a wonderful outlet to have.
Yeah,
and
I think too, hearing what you've gone through and what you've been able to achieve already, I think it's very inspiring, and to hear the fortitude and the resilience that you've had. So when you first stepped out on court, you kind of touched on it. When you first stepped onto the court and played for the first time after what happened, what was that feeling like to?
Yeah, I mean, listen, for what I went through, there was the big psychology part of it for me. It was, well, what is my life going to be like? Am I going to ever be? There was an unknown on, because you can't see in the future, and you just know that your functions are diminished at that time, and so it gave me a sense of hope that all right, this is not as bad as I thought it would be, and I can see how it can get better. And as I slowly progressed, I was able to really see that I was getting better, and that was an endless source of inspiration and hope for me, because it showed me that it's going to be okay. I just got to work hard, and it gave me the fuel and energy to put the work in.
Yeah.
Because I saw results. And I think that's a big part of tennis or any kind of activity where you can measure yourself getting better. I think that's what tennis provided me in those moments, was there's hope. It's going to get better.
And in hearing that and talking about that for you, what do you think tennis provides to others that may not be in the same situation as your unique and your unique experience? What do you think tennis provides to other people when it comes to social, physical, and all these other attributes that may help them live a long and healthy life? Like, what do you think tennis means to?
It's very interesting. So I was at SPORTIME about 3 months ago, in Bethpage. So I was playing a singles match with a buddy of mine, and it was early in the morning, 7:30. And on the court next to us were 4 older gentlemen, and they were moving but slowly, and I kept on looking at them. They were having a great time, And then when the match was over, I walked over to them. I said, just curious, how old you gentlemen are. And the ages, the youngest was 85.
Wow.
And the oldest was 90. And there were 4 gentlemen in their late 80s playing tennis. That's what I think tennis provides is the ability to be functional at a later age, at an older age. And I think that, it was a very inspirational thing to see, and, I think tennis provides so much for other people. I think the social aspect, certainly, but just the health and wellness. And we want to enjoy ourselves, and we want to be physically active, older, as we get older, as we age. And I think tennis provides that, the ability to do that.
It is extraordinary to see what tennis has provided for everyone in that fact, and having the ability to stay in shape and stay constantly moving. And I think it's one of the healthiest sports that we have, and it's a lifelong sport, right? It never stops.
No question.
Yeah.
You can always find people that are your ability, and I think that, it's an important thing to think about. All right, I want to obviously get older, but what do I want to do? How active do I want to be in my old age? And it's a health span thing, not just a lifespan thing. And I think that tennis provides that. It provides an ability. I love the mental aspect of the game as well. You're not just physical. You have to really think.
Yeah. What makes it enjoyable from the mental side of it? What makes it the mental side? Because for some people, I personally, from my own experience, growing up, and the mental side is always the toughest part, right? The physical, you can always be stronger, faster. Like when growing up and competing on the next level, you can always get physically better. But from a mental side, how is that enjoyable for you? Or like what makes it enjoyable for you from the mental side of it?
It's great because there's a certain satisfaction when you see a weakness or see a tendency in an opponent and create a plan, and it works.
Yeah.
Or as a point develops, your intuition, the more you play, seems to take over. And your muscle memory is there, and you're able to think without worrying about technique so much. You can think through a point, and it's very satisfying when it works.
Yeah.
And even if it doesn't work, if it's your problem on your end, it would have worked. So it's endlessly enjoyable because the better you get, the more you can think through a point, I think. So there's that chess match that develops, if you're in tune to that. And that's the way that you want to play, and it's very satisfying, and, I'm always reminded of it when I see the pros play, and then you hear the McEnroes talk about the match and the tendencies and what they're thinking. It's so more complicated than you think it is.
100%.
And there's a lot going on, and, it's a lot more intricate than just hitting a ball. Well, how deep do you want to hit the ball? How short do you want to hit the ball? How hard? How much topspin?
Yeah.
And how is it, where you're going to hit it now going to dictate how he's going to hit it back. And, so there's, you have to think ahead. So there's a certain aspect of you're really using your brain in a way that it's very stimulating, and it creates an awful lot of pleasure for me when things are going well.
Yeah, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day
Hey,
to tell
this
your
is
story.
great.
This is phenomenal, and just listening to the passion and gusto you have about speaking about this is incredible. How would you describe tennis in one word for you?
Gratifying.
Why?
It's gratifying on so many different levels for me. When just the other night when I came here, I had a, what we qualified as a challenging day.
Mm-hmm.
And when I left here, after playing for 2 hours, I just felt great. I didn't want to be here. I don't want to come.
Mm.
And I think that many people go through that in whatever physical activity they drag themselves to the gym or whatever. But tennis for me has offered me so much and given me so much in the last 10 years. Tennis is I sitting here and talking to you about this, it's weighs on me a little heavier than I expected it to. Tennis for me has given me so much over the last 10 years that I often forget. I mean, moments like this and talking about it remind me that, it's just been a wonderful gift. And, in so many ways for me. I mean, the people I've met, this place feels like home to me. SPORTIME feels like home to me. I mean, in particular, and I'm so grateful that it's come back into my life, and I made this decision 10 years ago. Hey, go pick up a racket, and that's led to a whole world that is extremely. It's a wonderful place for me to be.
I love that.
Yeah.
Andrew, I can't thank you enough for sharing your story and talking to us about this. It's really moving to see the passion and the determination that you have just talking about it. It's really incredible. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I love the opportunity to talk about it.
I appreciate it.
It's been great.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Andrew,